Okay, I can get started now. Welcome people. Welcome to the Global Connection series. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to joining our session. I'm very excited to see you all. Today, we invited a faculty and students from Berklee's one and only Global Jazz Institute's Masters and Undergraduate program to talk about its vision and educational philosophy and share their individual experience. We also especially thrilled to welcome to the artistic director for Global Jazz Institute, Maestro Danilo Perez, and managing director, Mr. Marco Pignataro, two amazing musicians, educators. So we hope that this event provides you with very good insights and guidance for your future creative endeavors. I will turn it over to Maestro Danilo Perez and Mr. Marco Pignataro to initiate this session.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. And I would like to also introduce some of the guest speaker we have kindly request to be with us to share information. And we would like to introduce Miss Nadia Washington. Nadia is an incredible vocalist, faculty at Berklee College of Music, faculty at the Global Jazz Institute, and at the same time, she's also finishing her master at Global Jazz Institute. So she has her hands very, very full. And we also would like to introduce Mr. Steven Montecucco, a wonderful trumpet player. He is an undergrad student, is presently in the upper level undergrad program of the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, and is really already become one of our most valued ambassador for the program in many ways. And I'm very glad to have you here. And we're also waiting for Anastasia Petrova, which is our graduate assistant, and she's actually assisting Maestro Kenny Werner right now for a class, but she will be with us very soon. And I will always, it's always an incredible honor and pleasure for me to introduce my colleague and the artistic director of the Global Jazz Institute, the amazing piano player, Danilo Perez.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you. Um, Much gratitude for being here this morning. I want to talk about, what is global jazz. I want to define it as with this description, so you have an idea what we're talking about. It's music that is inclusive and welcoming of different nationalities, indigenous instruments, folkloric music, combined with jazz as the anchoring foundation. It's also global jazz, what we call global jazz. We realize that when you have a talent, you also have a responsibility. So those are the core. Nowadays, we are talking about three pillars of what we define as global jazz. One is artistry, number two is social activism, and number three, and was the one of the guidance in our master program, is the education. So those are the three pillars in what we focus on developing on the students. Now, let me give you a little bit of history. For myself, I'm from Panama City, Panama, and I have lived in the United States for most of my life. Intersectionality has always been part of my development. As an immigrant in this country, intercultural dialogue has been at the basis of my work. And I consider myself a global citizen. Just because if you watch the geography of Panama, Panama serves and is a transitorial place to the whole world. In 2009, I was approached by the president, Roger Brown, and the provost, Larry Simpson, to create a music institute that could push the boundaries of music education. Um, where I come with a very strong background of education from my parents, especially my dad, who really was ahead of his time. And in 1967, he was already he wrote a thesis about the power of music in the development of a healthy community and healthy children's in our society. So I grew up with those experiments of using music as to learn other subjects like mathematics and geography and many of them. So I came already with that foundation, and then I joined Dizzy Gillespie, and then I learned the connection with the intercultural dialogue, the music as a diplomatic for diplomacy. And then my latest mentor, Wayne Shorter, who talks about human development through music. So I want to say that the Institute um, was the space where I could unify all those concepts as a mentor, as a teacher, and the social work I was doing in Panama for many years. Um, at the Institute, we could unite the idea of improvisation, the idea of when you have a gift, you have a responsibility. So the BGJI has promoted, I would say, a very creative global outlook on jazz education, inspiring many other programs in the world to follow suit. During this process, we have reached more than 10,000 students a week. Most of our students are becoming ambassadors to this concept. And the concepts are one, focus on the advance of social power of music. Second, the importance of activating the healing power of music in society, especially in the times we're living. You know, we are seeing an incredible space for this kind of philosophy to keep growing because the musicians are the future healers for me and for us in this society. It's a movement nowadays. So basically, global jazz, we have developed a curriculum that creates a common language and promote music as a virtual bridge between people and cultures.
Thank you, Maestro Danilo Perez, and for this wonderful word. And since you mentioned Wayne Shorter, I would like to continue with playing some music so you can have a little bit of the sort of work that our incredible student create within this program. And maybe after that, Nadia and Anastasia can talk a little bit about their process in this in the development or creation of this wonderful video. This video was done by the end of last summer when we had to transition because of the virus online, and it showcased the resilience and then the creativity and the adaptation of spirit of our students and how fast they got together. This will feature four groups playing together in an arrangement created by the student and with the musical direction of Maestro John Paritucci, which is in faculty at the Institute, and Maestro Danilo Perez. And it's an homage, a tribute to Wayne Shorter and his music, and the title is Supernova. Ray, if you can.
Long canary resting in a runway whispers, earthly strangers, mighty jet planes flying casually glance o'er seas and mountains, too high to see the sky above, singing a swan song when no one is through dim as engines burn, star across the sky, watch the cavemen fly, taking in the sights, breathing out things die, brother. Nature, trying to reach you, hasn't heard from you in ages since. With her young children, listen to her songs with awe and reverence. Now at the lessons, growing fast and eating her heart, flowing up the mountain by royal fountain. Then she'll whisper, you are my endangered species. Ah, ah,
Here, we just heard the Supernova project of the Berklee Global Jazz Institute graduate student class 2020. And I'm so curious, Nadia, you sound so wonderful, and it's such refreshing to hear a voice in that composition, the way you guys have orchestrated. I have a question for you and one from Anastasia. For you, Nadia, is like, can you talk about, I mean, you're getting musical direction from Danilo and John on a Wayne Shorter composition. You know, when Danilo and John been in that group with Wayne Shorter, how does that resonate with you students? What you guys learn from all of that?
Well,
Directly from the source.
yeah. Well, I must say that it was very powerful and very auspicious because as Stephen, my fellow colleague in the same class as us, mentioned that Wayne came to visit us on a couple occasions, and so we were kind of still like to just impart his wisdom and just hang with us, and so I feel as though we were still fueling from that really charged and inspired time with Wayne, because you guys did the panel for the International Jazz Fest as well as the lab, and so everybody I feel was just on just felt so lifted, because this is right when we oh, everybody go home, the pandemic and all of this, and so it was a very alarming time, but it was really cool to see uh, Wayne so charged, and so we kind of brought that with us, and what was even more special is that uh, Danilo and John, everybody allowed for the students to kind of put in some thoughts and ideas on arranging. So there was room for that, for students to bring in individuality and arrange, but then it was guided. So Danilo and everybody was able to guide the students on their choices of arrangements and whatnot. And uh, as mentioned before, I can't believe how well it turned out, because it was like bam, bam, bam. It just seemed like it just happened, you know, all at the same time in a moment. But yeah, it really flashed before us. But that's kind of what I took back from it, and I'm just um, grateful that it was received with the love that it was received with, and to have Wayne and Danilo and John there to kind of guide us and kind of undergird, the new, ambassadors is really um, something special. So
Yeah, and I'm very glad that you mentioned Wayne visit before. You're right. You're absolutely right. He visited
mm-hmm.
before this arrangement, and it's always so surreal every time that Master Wayne Shorter comes to the institute, and to have it so close, and it was such a wonderful experience to have him come to talk to us, and then to the Wayne Shorter reunion meeting where we did. That was also in a way, an historic moment. But Anastasia, I also, I want to kind of continue what Nadia said about the moment, right, in time where this happened, and in a moment where the community was really challenged by the virus, and we all like cannot be in the same room anymore, and we cannot play together anymore. And I would like for you to talk a little bit about the community of students that you've been part of it for 4 years now, because you've been through the preparatory program, then the upper level of the undergrad program, now you're finishing your master, now you're the graduate assistant. Can you tell me about a little bit your experience as a student in this community, and what this video represented for all of you at that moment in so challenging time?
Yeah, that project was so important for all of us because our last concert series happened on March 18th, I think, and after that we weren't able to play together anymore. So this was a way to reconnect, to reunite the community, and actually prove that remote recordings can do something as a replacement of this connection, because we already played with each other. We knew how it would sound, and that really helped us shape the whole medley. And I also wanted to mention one thing, that when I came to Berklee, I read a biography on Wayne Shorter, and I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed because the biography was written by someone else who thought this is the Wayne Shorter, how the Wayne Shorter is like. And I didn't like the book, and I still came to Berklee with the question, who is Wayne Shorter, and how he is as a person. So this was a true gift for me to be as a part of global jazz community, because Danilo, John at that time, Taylor Carrington was teaching. Those were the direct sources of information. And the funny thing is whenever they teach in the forums, and they're not really together on the same week, but they talk about the same stuff. And like I talked to Taylor Carrington, and she talks about Wayne's influence from that perspective. And then Danilo says the same exact phrase that Wayne said. So that means it's a puzzle. It's a real mosaic that works with Wayne for a long time, and it's so wonderful to just really learn from Wayne through these people. it's really revealing that now I'm writing my own book on who Wayne Shorter is in my mind, and it's more legit that from like a journalist perspective of how Wayne is.
When you finish the book, we will publish it, Anastasia. Okay, promise. And Stephen, I have a question for you, Stephen. You're a relatively newer member of the community. You're in the undergrad program, and every week you get to study one-on-one with these artists. I think this week you're studying, taking a direct study lesson with Lovano. Last week was with Danilo, and John Paritucci, Ben Street, Adam Cruz. This is our esteemed faculty that come every week, and many others. Can you tell us a little bit how is this change you as a musician? This weekly connection with these amazing artists.
Yeah, that's truly one of the most incredible and important things. I think that, like, what an opportunity to be able to literally just sit in a room. Obviously right now it's over Zoom, but like to be able to sit down and just have a conversation and connect and play one-on-one with literal like legends, like to be able to sit down with Maestro Joe Lovano and all these other people, Terry Lynn and everyone else that comes and works with the Institute. Like, and one thing that I love is they are looking to connect with you just as much as you're looking to connect with them. It's like you really are able to build a relationship, and you really are able to ask legitimately any question that you want about anything. I know for a fact I've spent like a good amount of my lessons, especially with like I've spent some lessons with Adam Cruz where I won't play a note the whole time because we'll just be diving in and talking about philosophy or all these other things like you, and we have the ability to really create these incredible connections and learn these incredible perspectives from people that have already accomplished and made the kind of impacts that a lot of us are aiming for. And especially in a time right now when there's so much going on with the world, being able to refer to mentors like that, being able to go back and talk to people and get advice on stuff, like I can say a lot of things like, oh, especially like during the pandemic, this is one thing that's been really hard for me. What do you think? And Joe Lovano will give me some deep answer about, like, obviously he'll go off and paint a picture about like diving into water in the woods or something. But like regardless, it's like it's a truly there's nothing else like it to be able to just sit down one-on-one like that. I think that's really one of the most special things about the program.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. I'm happy that this is resonating with you this way, and it is truly a blessing to have this connection like on a weekly basis for all the community and everybody involved with it, because the artists really come and work one-on-one, then they sit with the ensemble and check the music of the ensemble, then they do the forum, and actually we have a forum today, 2 p.m. If you are around, it would be great. It's an open forum, 2 to 4 Boston time with Joe Lovano and Tia Fuller, who also is in residency. But Danilo, I wanted to ask you something, because when you give your introduction, you mentioned your work with Dizzy Gillespie and Wayne. And I'm wondering, having worked so close with this basically figure that have shaped jazz, how much your work with them influenced your vision as a musician and as an educator, and how it influenced this idea of global jazz, because I think in a way they're really also connected, in many ways with this concept.
Great question, Marco. And I think the concept of looking at the world as global instead of more, what it used to be like the world music or something like that, a world. I think it's important to realize, for example, that people like Dizzy Gillespie, one of the greatest thing I learned from him was that he would actually, instead of talking about music, he would say things like this to me. He said, "Who are you?" And then turn around and make it really like, I was like, where is that coming from? Who are you? And then he would say, "Where do you come from?" And then he said, then he paused and he said, that's what I want to hear in your music. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. I had fun, but then I didn't realize at that moment he was asking some very deep questions about identity. And he really made a strong sense. And to me, to go back to my inner dreams we all have as individual, being from Panama and watching the world go through the canal, connected to my father. I mean, he really made me think that way. And also putting a band from people from all over the world. Sometimes the music would be very, very beautiful, but at times was very chaotic. And I wasn't into the chaos I am now. Like I didn't address chaos the way I address now. So he told me a couple times, I see your face. You're thinking about music. I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about the power of music to unite the world. Dizzy Gillespie was a deep man. And that's the kind of things I learned from him. He's like, he told me one day, Danilo, I want to be remembered as a great humanitarian. And 5 years ago, I found a video of him saying that. I don't want to be remembered as an inventor of bebop or a musician or something. I want to be remembered as a great humanitarian because music has the power to unite us, he said. And we must use that power. That's what he said to me. So that's a direct source of learning that went beyond the initial connections about wanting to learn more about music and stuff like that. He said you need to have perspective, you need to have purpose. So when we talk about global jazz, we really together are creating a space that a connotation that jazz have had for many years of a negative connotation, I would say. We're giving new oxygen by adding the word global, where we can provide values for the students that they can experience democracy, community work, listening, negotiation. Are the things I learned from the masters. They didn't really tell me much about you play this or that, or that was there too. But at the core of everything we did was always a fundamental idea of who you are, where you come from, and those are the questions that Dizzy Gillespie was posing on me every day that I had a chance to hang with him, which was the same type of questioning I got from Wayne from the get go with the band. He said commitment. He told me commitment, and I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. He said courage, courage. It takes courage in life to do things. Are you afraid? He say, are you afraid? I'm like, yeah. He say, yeah, me too. And things like that. He said, um, life, music is a drop in the ocean. He would say before we start. He would say things like, um, let's play like this, Danilo. Once upon a time, and then you continue and fill up the rest. Or I can also write too, and I was like, whoa. um, the Dracula character of this movie, he was like into a lot of creative ideas and thoughts and connection. He was making you get out of your music, and then he would tell a story to us like when we really look afraid and we're playing kind of very, very afraid. He would say, our Blake told the musicians and said, hey, get out of your own way. And then he would say, don't hide behind your instrument. But he would always talk in third person. So the day I asked him, Maestro, what do I need to work on? He said to me, Danilo, commitment. You need to get married. I mean, this. So really was at the end of the day, he was showing me that there is a balance between artistry and human development, and that the world needed to have more balance, basically. Not that this is one way that is correct, but we need to have more balance because the way we're going in the world is really out of balance. How divided we are is very clear now. But these are the kind of things I experience with Wayne. Generosity, love, community, And I can say with a lot of love that that's like my second father. That's somebody that I relate to, and I have a relationship with him that is like father son kind of, you know. And it's beautiful when I hear him talking about us, Brian, John, and I. It's amazing the kind of things he saw in us that we didn't see in ourselves, and that's the beauty about mentorship.
Wow, it's fantastic, Danilo, and because my next question to you that I always wanted to discuss with you is this idea when I first met you, and we started working, in the program 10 years ago. I was always it was really different and refreshing for me to see the fact that you were connecting music with so many things when in fact most of music education is just about music, and so the program is based in this idea of interconnection. And maybe you can explain even more, because I think it's so much a part of the essence of what we do at the Global Jazz Institute. And now I understand it really comes from this idea that you were exposed to these great artists, right?
Yeah, there's a big, one of the things I must tell you, Marco, this work of mine of as a social activist, which I have done since I was a kid, basically, since I was, with my dad, I did it, was never in play like in terms of how could I unify that with my music making. I went through the same steps. People come to Berklee, go to New York, make it into the scene, playing, recording, getting a record contract. I did all of that. Um, but there was a call. There was a call on me. There was a call on me. Teaching helped me a lot to see, kind of foresee what kind of things we were lacking. And one of the things I tell you, combined with all this experience with my mentor, was the duality of teaching in United States and Panama at the same time. I could see the shortcomings in each one and what they needed to work on it. So for me, what Wayne did was the final cycle of this circle, if you want, of this journey, to really learn about unifying my work. Wayne said, I didn't know you were a social activist, man. You're doing great work in Panama, and you and this and that. He told me, he said, play all of that, Danilo, write and play music like that. He said, that's what it is. I remember the day he find out, he was like a father finding out something about his son that he hasn't heard yet. And he was really he was like, yeah, that's what's happening. And like 7 hour ride on a bus, Wayne Shorter praising you, like, Carolina, do you see what Danilo is doing? That's what is happening, man. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. And he started really nurturing that and pushing it. And when I was playing and finally broke through, kind of understanding where we were not going, not where we were going, but not where we shouldn't go, he said, yeah, play the kids on the street. That's what I'm talking about. The children. Play the children. Save humanity. And he be talking on the phone. These are things that people never heard, because it's all mysterious, But he could tell honestly that that's where I come from. I'm a practice. I practice social activism. I don't talk about it in as a gimmick. It's like who I am, what I've been doing all my life. You see, so he understood that and kind of helped it. And I feel that Dizzy Gillespie is happy wherever he is, because he also can hear his message resonating too. The intercultural dialogue thing I'm committed to with my new band. I've created a new group called the Global Messengers. They're all graduate students, amazing artists that we are seeing going to the program. This is one of the beauties that Marco, you and I have so much. We keep growing. This is the beauty about this. It's not one way. This is the present and this is the future. So I have a committed group dedicated to the power of music as a tool for intercultural dialogue. So that's how I feel. We need to use our talent to create an international discourse concerning immigration, global health, gender equality, systemic racism, injustice, resistance, love, and humanity. That's what for me is at the core of what I do and what we do. I feel like that's where you are. That's where Nadia, Steven, Anastasia, we are uniting this movement, and it's almost like playing resistance to the way the world wants us to go and everything. And you're seeing it right now more than ever. It's clear that we need to be alert. We need to be ready, alert, and be using the power of music. I'm not saying everybody should, but if you have that gift, you have to taste it, at least taste it, how you can help other people. It's not just money that help people. It's using what you do and sharing it and sharing the blessings with other people.
And for everybody that is connected today and listening to these amazing words of Maestro Danilo, I mean, I just want to make sure you understand this is not just a philosophy or a speech that Danilo is making that sounds good, and it's actually the way the Institute operates in its core, in the core of the curriculum. These values are basically really determining behavior and activities to really develop and practice these values that Daniel is talking about. And maybe I would like now to go back to the students and talk about, how is this vision, how you lived it through your outreach program, through your project. Nadia and Anastasia doing amazing thesis on social issues, on psychology and healing. And Stephen, can you talk a little bit about the way the words that Danilo just spoke actually materialize in the program, in the sort of environment and activities? This is something very important that I would like to come out of this session, is this vision so grandiose and so beautiful is not just words in the program. And I would like for you to talk about it. Maybe Stephen, you want to talk? I don't know.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the most one of the most central and evident things in every single thing we do as an institute is the mindset and the attitude and the conversation of like, why are we doing this? What are we doing this for? What are we going to turn this into? It's never just like, you need to learn this scale and transcribe this solo so you can get better at something. It's more like, what are you actually doing, and why do you want to be doing it, and why do you want to be better at it, and how can we use that to move things and create the things that we want to do? So the conversations that we're always having are about, who are you as a person? How can you study your own culture and your own background and your own life and the systems that you come up in and the systems that we're currently existing in, and apply all of that towards the world, and then how music can relate to that and support you in that journey. And I think that's true in all of the outreach things that we've done, whether or not it's the traveling that a lot of people get to do, and going and working with underprivileged people in places around the world, or whether or not it's going to prisons or mental health facilities or nursing homes and playing for people that don't get to hear it very often. And I think we really dive into what is the actual nature of music, and how can we use that to actually make change in the world, and that really is a central theme in basically every single thing that we do as part of the institute. I think that's kind of the undercurrent that frames all of our work.
And can you just kind of describe a little bit the outreach programs? What kind of things you've been doing in the since you've been in the institute?
Absolutely. Well, I know a lot of people. I know as an institute we do a lot of traveling where they'll send people to Panama or to places in Europe or in all these different places, and you'll work with younger students and people that might not have access to lessons or music education in the same way. We also would do a lot of work at a nursing home where we go and play for people, and it's really like crazy. We spend so much time thinking about how good we want to be, and so little time focusing on actually impacting people, and not just impacting people in a way that they can say, oh wow, that sounds really good, that's cool, but in a way that like you can actually transmit like soul energy in a way, and that can have incredible healing effects as well as so like the ability to play for someone and have them be like crying because you brought them back to a certain time. And then obviously things have shifted because of the pandemic, but I know one of the big things that we've been doing is now partnering and doing online lessons for people. So I gave a couple lessons to a student out of Panama, and other people are doing similar things all around. But it really like the outreach is, I think, where that kind of that philosophy that is central to everything that we do. It's an important part of the institute, but the outreach is when we really kind of put that to the test of actually going out and acting on it. We don't just have the conversations, then we go out and use music and get to look at someone's face and see what you are doing and how it is impacting the people in the room or the people on the screen. Like just the ability to make direct impacts that way.
Thank you, Stephen. And Nadia and Anastasia, you're presently working on your culminating experiences in order to graduate from the graduate program. And you've been working for it for a whole year. And both of you have incredible personal vision, very much influenced by this environment and this value. So Nadia, can you start and talk about your idea, and then Anastasia, your idea for your project?
Yes. Well, I was just thinking about, as you were, asking me to answer this question, I was thinking about the conversation that we had where Danilo said that Wayne would ask you, maybe you can help Danilo, because I'm trying to organize it, but it's like, other than being a musician, what would you call yourself? Can you, Danilo, can you paraphrase that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Other than
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
by the way, and by the way, a lot of the those are those are stuff that I invented for myself to find the answer he was asking me. No, he never told me, what else would you do? That's something I ask myself.
Mhm.
Is if you can't take the word music away from you, though you can't describe yourself as a musician, what would you say that you are? How do you describe what you do? That when I answered that question for me, I went back to him and I told him I'm this and that and this and that, and he said, "Well, find unity in everything." I remember that's what he told me. Just write and play music the way you want the world to be like.
Mhm. And that's exactly what my time at Global became. There's a matter of, besides all of, the entertaining and the performing, that aspect of everything, you have to actually sit down and be honest with yourself and say, okay, besides all of this and that and the other, and who are you? What do how do you want to see your inner world change? What do you want to do? Or how do you want to define yourself outside of these confines, which, if you just keep it at that, can be empty after a while. It's like, okay, blue scale, right? But but to really dig inside and figure out what the blue scale is about, that's a very, very intimidating task, but it's so liberating when you do. And so that brings me to what my thesis is about. And I found that when I asked that question to myself, that I was really passionate about healing. I was really passionate about in whatever aspect that is, be it physical, mental, or even spiritual. I'm very, very passionate about that. And so, that caused me to really be honest and say, hey, no, you need to really buckle down and do some more study on psychology, bringing that into the fold in your music, because you feel so strongly about this. And so that led me, after like meandering around the idea of finding and exploring the idea of interlacing the analytical psychology, Jungian analytical psychology, with the creative process, so that you can therefore, discover who you are musically or even personally that you didn't understand, or if there is healing that needs to be done, that you're able to do that with your instrument. And that way you can get out, you can have the ego step aside, have everything step aside, and you can come from a more genuine place that could actually, move and change and heal yourself as well as the audience. So that's what my thesis is.
And that's wonderful, Nadia, because you almost not almost you're approaching to music therapy, right? Like and the
Yeah.
power of music and this idea of interconnection with this amazing concept of Jung and his theory and psychology.
Marco, Marco, I wanted to also for all of you, I wanted to also make it clear really quick that that specific lesson was transferred to Wayne. Of course, he's a Buddhist, but it was transferred to him by Miles Davis when one day in the bandstand he said, "Wayne, I noticed you like philosophy. You know, I know you like philosophy." And Wayne said, "Yeah, man." And then Miles said to him, "Well, play that." So I just wanted to make the connection that when you get Wayne, you're also getting the deep lessons from great masters from Art Blakey, Miles Davis, John Coltrane. And that's how this music has been a part of this initiation, passing on from master to the new generation. And that's important also to mention the power of that mentorship that Miles had on Wayne too, which is very important and crucial in his development.
It's amazing to think in this way, Danilo, because it makes really all of us feel like we're connected with the roots and with the tree of the evolution of this music, and it's very inspiring, to have this feeling of belonging to such a, such an organic way, and getting this DNA through through the music and the values transferred to us, and that's something that to me has been even as just an observer incredibly to be around these ideas for the last 10 years. And Anastasia, you were about to present your idea, which is also very very specific and very important.
Yeah, as global jazz always poses a question of who else can you be besides a musician, besides a performer, besides an entertainer? And if you are a performer and entertainer, what is the function of music in your life? So in my case, I thought I would combine my dedication to female homeless shelter and my own perspective on music and in one project and making a social change project that would highlight the issue of female homelessness, and not only in the United States but all over the world, because there is a piece dedicated to an Australian homeless pianist. There is a piece dedicated to a homeless painter and the streets of Boston. So it is a personal reflection on the issue, as well as a highlight of how music can be a tool for raising awareness and for bringing attention. So I'm truly grateful that Global actually taught me to look at music as something bigger, because I used to be an entertainer for a long time. I used to think that playing at the festivals is the goal. I'm not saying that it is not the goal. It is the goal, but that awareness that comes to you when you are playing at the festivals, it brings the music to the next level.
Right. Thank you, Anastasia. And I think we have about 5 minutes left, Ray. And I would like to make sure we leave a little space for our audience if they have any specific question for Danilo, myself, or our students. This would be a great moment.
Yeah,
If there,
sure. So, folks, feel free to unmute your microphone. If we have any questions for, this community, wonderful community, just feel free to do so. This is like a really good opportunity for you to ask any questions about anything.
so I no questions. We must be very, very clear in everything we say. Okay. Um, all right. Well, in that case, I would like to remind you a couple of things that are very a little bit more practical in nature. The institute has two programs. One is an undergrad program that you access by entering Berklee first. So in order to apply as an undergraduate student to the Global Jazz Institute, you need to apply to Berklee College of Music, complete your freshman year, and during your freshman year, you can apply through an internal audition to be part of the program. And after that, you can basically graduate in the program. Um, if you are already looking for a master degree because you already have a bachelor degree, you can apply to the Berkeley Global Jazz Institute directly. You can go to the Berkeley website. Maybe Ray, if you have the link, you can put it in the
Yeah, in the chat box already over
chat
there.
box. So beautiful. And basically the audition is always been, not just because it's the bar, but it's always been video audition. We are not requiring you to come in person. So the audition has two components: a music part where you create three or four videos. I can't exactly remember now, but basically there's certain requirements of some composition of yours, some reharmonization of some standards, some music in 6/8. And then there's a component of the interview where we would like to talk to you to understand how you resonate with the values expressed within this clinic, and what would you be idea for your culminating experience, which is what Nadia and Anastasia just spoke about. So if you have 1 year at the institute to complete your graduate, what would you like your final thesis to be? And it's a very important question to us because in a way it shows us what kind of connection you're already making with music, and what is your trajectory and your investigation and your interest. And I think the deadline is end of January to do the application, and then by March we select the class. We only select 20 students in the graduate program. It's a fully scholarship program, meaning if you are accepted, you are not, and I see Stephen smiling there because I think Stephen is planning to audition to the master program, right? Anyway, so it's a fully scholarship program if you enter, and the duration is 3 semesters, fall, spring, and summer semester, where you complete your thesis, which is actually a recording and a project, like where you basically present all the work you've done with a specific idea you bring in, and that's what Anastasia and Nadia were talking about. And maybe my last comment is that, Danilo, one of the things that we talk when we talk about alumni, and we ask this question, and when we do questionnaire, we have conversation, and we ask them about how they feel after this program. There's always a word that comes out, and it's transformation. I feel like this is the word that it always connect with everybody going through the program. Why do you think? Any of you, maybe Danilo, you want to say something about this? But I wanted to kind of resonate on that because it's really something that is very global in the community to have this feeling of transformation.
Well, I want to say first of all, this work, Marco, and has made me understood the meaning of the word gratitude, because having a vision, living a vision, and not having a partner to make it work with you on the groundwork and be there, and the love for education that you bring to the table has been very inspiring to me. So to start with it, I want to say that the most beautiful thing that this experience have had for me has been able to believe that we can create a community, to be hopeful about the world, to learn and experience together the major global issues we face in these times. We are celebrating many things together, but from all these young artists, we don't really mentor the traditional way. We are open to their ideas. We're open to their original ideas, to the creativity, their imagination. So that in itself creates a fertile ground for me to continue being excited about the music and about changing this world, which are two things that are so important. I get so much inspiration from these students. They're not students to me. They are like ambassadors. They are warriors. This is the generation that will continue carrying on the idea of the utopia in life. We're living the utopia. We must believe we can do it. And we we're fighting for a lot of values. We will promise, we promise, no will, we promise to continue offering this kind of perspective that transcend categorization and stereotypes. We will continue nurturing an environment that will have artistic fulfillment for all of you. This is the promise Marco and I made, and the school is make. We will continue being interested about giving social and intellectual opportunities to interconnect and shape the personality of the new global musician who will empower our communities and inspire many others through this process. So this is what we can do, and we can do it together. And here we are in the journey, on the train, right to this place where we know music has this space that is celestial to me. And we can access that, all of us, every musician in the world, we can access that.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Danilo. This is wonderful. Ray, I think I just want to give gratitude to the students and then to Nadia, Stephen, and Anastasia for taking the time to be with us and sharing your experience. And thank you, Danilo, for your inspiration always and for all of you. And thank you, Ray, for organizing this.
Yeah, thank you so much. The Maestro Danilo Perez and Mr. Marco Pignataro, and Nadia, Anastasia, and Stephen. It is really, really pleasure to see you here, and also great, great insights from all of you. And I put two important links in our chat box, so please bookmark. That is about the program, also how to apply for the program. So if you're interested in knowing more about this program, just visit the website, and it gives you much more information. And we'll continue having this type of wonderful sessions, upcoming days and weeks. So feel free to join another sessions you're gonna planning to. And once again, this is a wonderful session, and I learned personally so much about this whole thing. So I would say we'll see you soon, but we'll stay connected. Okay, stay healthy, stay creative. Thank you so much for everybody.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Bye. Have a good day.
You too.